Hi, I'm Chris Slawecki. I'm the senior copywriter for the Drug Information Association, DIA. We're here at our 2018 annual meeting with Mr. Bijan Motamedi from the University of Southern California School of Pharmacy. Bijan won first place in our student poster competition this year. So the first thing is congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch. Thanks for being here with us today. First question is, what was the title of your poster?
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. So the title of the poster was Disparities between FDA and EMA regulatory review processes, which is kind of a bunch of big words to say that the EMA and FDA both do drug approvals every year, and the way they do them is extremely different. So we took a look at kind of not only the way they make these approvals with expedited pathways, as well as the time that it takes them to approve the same exact drugs.
Thank you. Was there a specific event, approval, or perhaps a disapproval that inspired you to do this? Or was it more of a 20,000-foot view looking at the relative disparities?
Yeah, so the project was actually inspired by my two advisors and professors, Dr. Nancy Smirkinich, who is actually a figurehead here at DIA,
Yes,
and then Dr. Unju Pasifisi, who's another professor at USC School of Regulatory Science. So when I first approached them about the possibility of starting a project, I was very new to regulatory science, and they kind of just threw me into the different approval documents for the FDA and the EMA. And I quickly realized how different all the documents were, and so they introduced me to the concept of regulatory dissonance, which is something a lot of organizations like the ICH, the International Center for Harmonization, has done a lot of work to try and cut down on the differences between these two organizations. So they introduced me to the concept, and that inspired the project, and it kind of just snowballed from there.
Dr. Parikh, when he introduced your poster today, almost, but not quite jokingly, said disparity between FDA and EMA. My goodness, what a topic for DIA. It's a great topic, and it's global. So what conclusions did your research draw?
Yeah, so it is a really global topic, and it's becoming increasingly more difficult with other regulatory agencies getting involved as well. The CFDA, PMDA, and so forth. But our conclusions were basically, we had a number of them. First off, that on average, the FDA was a lot faster. So to give a little more insight into our research, we took the 40 shared drug approvals between 2015 and 2016. So the same exact 40 drugs that were approved between these 2 years by the FDA and EMA, and analyzed their usage of expedited pathways, orphan designation, and approval time. And what we found was, on average, the FDA was 125 days faster. So the FDA had an approval time of 295 days on average compared to 420 for the EMA. Furthermore, the FDA was more likely to give out orphan designation. 20 out of the 40, or 50% of the drugs for the FDA were given orphan designation compared to 30% for the EMA. So it kind of raises some questions. You have the same exact 40 drugs. Why is one organization giving out 50% versus 30%? Obviously, they have different criteria.
Right.
And then we also, one of the biggest areas of dissonance we found was in the difference of expedited pathway usage. So at the time we did this study, the FDA offered 4 expedited pathways,
Right.
whereas the EMA offered 2. The prime pathway currently was still being developed. But the biggest difference was in the usage of the pathways.
Okay.
The FDA used expedited pathways much more, so 70% compared to the EMA's 28%. And furthermore, a lot of the FDA approvals were more likely to use multiple. So if they used one, the most of them used 2 or 3.
Okay. Any conclusions as to why that was?
Well, I think it comes down to a lot to the differences between the two organizations and their different founding and background. So obviously the FDA just serves the United States, whereas the EMA serves 28 member countries and 24 or 26 languages. So they each have a different history, different philosophy, and different goals. And I think the FDA has has really, since they're serving one country, they're able to standardize things a lot more. Whereas the EMA is still kind of developing their centralized pathway to,
That makes sense. So you leave here and you're going to go back to work. What do you hope this research impacts? How do you hope this research impacts the field when you go back to your workplace?
Yeah, so when we set out with this research, our goal was just to call attention to this disparity. Obviously, the end game for all of us is to bring novel medications to patients to cure diseases. And so, our argument was that the availability of these expedited pathways and use of orphan designation eventually allows for, bringing medications to patients faster, and the lack of these expedited pathways is possibly delaying access or even curtailing access to patients that need these medications.
And that's who we're all here to work for.
Exactly.
So Bijan, on behalf of DIA, it's a real honor to be here talking with you. The future of drug development is bright with folks like you involved. Thanks very much,
Thanks so
and
much for
congratulations on winning.
Thank you.
For DIA Insights, this is Chris Slawecki.